All right, welcome back, Zingers. It is Ryan Fluna, and I'm here again with Big Beat. And today we are going to be discussing finding low float stocks using the screener in Benzinga Pro. This is commonly asked about from the Zinger family out there. There are multiple ways to do this. I'm going to show you my quick and dirty way of finding low float stocks that have gapped up. Big Beat is going to show you his way of finding low float stocks and how he analyzes them using the screener. And hopefully this will provide some education on finding new opportunities for you out there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Big Beat, I wanted to start off here with a definition of low float stocks because this is a term that gets thrown around a lot, and I just want to go ahead and define it before we actually have this video. So a low float stock is, floating stock is the outstanding shares minus those that are restricted or held by insiders or major shareholders. And the reason that this is important is because low float stocks tend to have higher spreads and higher volatility than a comparable larger float stock. So Big Beat, do you want to put that in more English for our Zingers?
Yeah, I mean, outstanding shares are the number of shares that are available out there in the market that we can buy and sell. And when there are less shares out there, makes the price go up, right? The supply and demand. If there's less supply and bigger demand, price goes up. So pretty simple. The idea is if a big news item hits a company really quickly and really hard, and they don't have a lot of shares to actually acquire, the price jumps, and that's what we're looking for, right? A lot of companies out there are actually building their businesses around low float stocks. So we actually have the ability to find them before they move, right? And we have the way to narrow it down to the kind of low floats that we actually personally want to own. So.
Yeah, and really quickly, that's a great recap. Really quickly, while it can pop and move up, it can also move down rather violently too. So it works in both directions. Just want to make that very clear here. So if you don't mind, Big Beat, I'm going to go ahead and start off with my example of how I find low float stocks. It's fairly self-explanatory. Right here, we've got a blank Benzinga Pro homepage. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add the screener here from the top. Now, the screener is going to allow us to find these stocks. So like I mentioned, we want to find stocks with a low float. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the All tab to give me all of the different fields. And then I'm going to scroll down here to float, not percent float. My example here is going to use float. So when I click on this, you're going to get a from and a to field. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 3M to denote million in the to field. And what this means is that right when I click off of this, you'll see that the float now is less than 3 million. So I have no lower boundary, I have just an upper boundary, and this is going to find all stocks that have float less than 3 million. So, and actually one of the things that I'm going to do here now that I'm mentioning this is I'm actually going to add the float column to the screener so that we can see what that nominal value actually is. So just bear with me for a sec here while I find the float from the list. There's share float. Here, shares float. There we go. All right, so now what we have here, we have all stocks less than 3 million float. The other thing that I like to do, because I'm a long bias trader, is I like to find stocks that are gapping up with a low float. So I'm going to go to the percent gap field, and I'm going to put in here 5. All right, so now what we have here is we have stocks that are gapping up over 5% on the day and have a float less than 3 million here. And you'll see here that I have 6 stocks in my results list. So if I wanted to place any one of these trades, now the next step here would be figuring out which one of these stocks meet my criteria, perhaps looking at it on a chart and seeing where it's going to go. But you can see here with several clicks of the mouse, I've been able to filter out to 6 stocks that I know are moving and are going to have high volatility on the day. So this is something that I use to kind of cherry pick low float stocks, if you will. Now, Big B, do you have an example that's similar to this, or maybe a little bit more in depth?
You know, I do. For me, I'm also looking for volume and a lot of other things that in the trading day. So I'm going to change up your screener to my way of putting the floats together. And if you go back up to the filters, let's clean them out by clicking on the reset filters. Now they're back to normal, and
Gotcha.
Everything has been cleaned out. Yeah, so there we go. So for me, Ryan, I'm going to take out, if you open the column section up, I'm going to take out the description. I don't really necessarily need the description of the company.
Okay.
I don't need the market cap of the company. And I don't need the sector of the company, nor the PE ratio. Correct. Now, what I do need is I do need percent float.
Let me go find that. That's right down here in the list.
Right there underneath fundamentals. Yep. And I do want at the bottom, you'll see float and the number of shares. So at the very bottom, you'll see shares outstanding. That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so now just for clarity's sake, I've got float, percent float, and shares added here. Which order would you like those columns in, Big B?
So actually, believe it or not, you have it in the position that I like because I don't care at this point because I'm actually looking at the volume. So
gotcha.
If you want, I'm also going to set the parameters a little deeper than that. And I'm going to change out the filters for the price. Now, for me, the price has got to be a little bit different. And if I look at the price, I'm going to say 0 to $10. Okay, so I'm looking for not only a low float, but a cheap stock. Right? I'm looking for those stocks out there that possibly are under the $10 mark and can be really popped. That's what we're looking for, right? If you notice, we went from 6,000 results now down to 2,000. All right, now what I'm going to add is I don't really care about, as I said, the market cap. So I'm going to find out the percent of the shares that are outstanding. That's what I'm looking for, right? So if you go down to the filters to percent of the, correct, of the float, and we're going to change that percent to the float from 0 to 20%.
And just to recap, that is percent float you want from 0 to 20, correct?
Correct, yes.
Excellent.
Now, if you'll notice, we've now narrowed it down to 40 stocks out there. Now, one of the cool things about this one is this is a low float that you can keep in your layouts forever. And I do this all the time. Now, for me, the difference is I do sort by volume. So I not only want to get a low float stock, but I also want one that's moving fast. So if you want to, you can also sort it by volume. So if you click on the volume down in the columns, there you go. Click it not once, but there you go. So you'll see that Sprint has a very low float and has a high volume. So these can now be traded any day, not just based on news, but could be traded any day. And that's what I'm always looking for. And I keep this saved as a float. Now, one of the other things that I do add onto this, Ryan, sometimes is the movers. I will add a whole movers section to this. On the left-hand side, you'll see the movers widget. Perfect. Put that in the workspace. On the right-hand side, and if you change the market cap out from 0 to infinity to 0 to 2 billion, and you change, as you know, we just did that 0 to 10, right? And in the last 15 minutes, gainers and losers, perfect. If you click on applied filters, it goes away. And you'll notice that now we can find those stocks. Now, if you also sort it by volume as well here, we can also find, there you go. And you can start to compare between the two. Is there a low float stock and a high volume, and is it moving in the last 15 minutes? So the idea is to catch the low floats before they're moving.
I gotcha. And actually looking in this movers list here, if you recall, SES was in my list of low float stocks from the scan that I ran. So great. So this is really helpful.
And one of the things you could do, Ryan, is put both of our low float scanners together. That's the beautiful part about Benzinga, is that we can have a whole layout of just nothing but scanners.
So what you're referring to is adding another scanner to this particular workspace and then saving it as a layout so you can actually run those two scans at once. Another great tip here, big people, we are really making use of the saving layouts feature. I'll tell you that much. We are really we're really finding ways to make that work for us. So this is great. So again, easy way. The point of the screener, the point of movers is within a few clicks to be able to show you what it is that you're looking for. Right here, we've given you 2 different examples of finding stocks that are moving on low float. And again, just to recap, floating stock is the outstanding shares minus those that are restricted or held by insiders. And the point of this is because you're often going to find higher spreads and thus higher volatility. So as long as that plays into your trading plan, that's one of the ways to go. What were you going to go say there, Big?
You know what's interesting when you have other companies that are pulling out low float stocks and that kind of thing, the thing is that they're all looking for 1 or 2, and here you can find a bunch of them, right? If you have a pot of money that you're looking to invest, you don't have to put it in just one stock. They're trying to get you to put it all into one and pump the stock and jump out. And that usually will get you killed in the market, right? This idea is that we're got here is that we're trying to get you ahead of the game and not behind the game or not being someone's puppet. Here, you're actually being your own boss in trading, and you're doing your own thing and finding your own low floats.
That's an excellent tip. Thank you very much for the reminder. And just another reminder to all you zingers out there, if there's anything else that you'd like to see us demonstrate, there's anything that you have questions on or that you trade regularly, please reach out. Again, you can always reach me by email, phone, or chat. Big Beat is always accessible during the day. We're happy to help you. We want to show you how you can use this program to work for you. So this was a great example. Thank you very much, Big Beat. I'm Ryan. Until next time, zingers, happy trading.